I've been on the Armed Services Committee for 10 years. The Russian ambassador has never called me. The Russian ambassador has never asked for a meeting with me. And the Russian ambassador has never had a one-on-one meeting with me.
Turns out Missouri Senator Claire McCaskill claims she never met or had a call with the Russian ambassador. The senator did. Here's this tweet from January 30th, 2013. Quote, off to meeting with Russian ambassador, upset about the arbitrary, cruel decision to end U.S. adoptions, even though it's in process. So that's what the subject was going to be. But there's this one from August 6, 2015. Quote, today calls with British, Russian, and German ambassadors about the Iran deal. With me now, former George W. Bush senior advisor Karl Rove. Karl, Senator McCaskill, she's been saying that Jeff Sessions should resign because he misled the Senate. What are your thoughts about what these tweets are about?
Well, you actually put her in better light than she deserves to be. What you showed was the footage of her with her second explanation. She first said she had never had a meeting, never had a call with the Russian ambassador. She then got caught in the lie that you so aptly pointed out, and she went back in front of the cameras to say, I never called him, and I never had a one-on-one meeting with him. But as you say in her tweets, she clearly had a meeting with him to discuss adoption policies, and then called him, interestingly enough, about the Iranian nuclear deal a couple of days before she voted to support the Iranian nuclear deal. Look, she's got a habit of being about the most partisan person in the United States Senate on the Democratic side, looking for every little advantage that she can get. She thought she had Sessions in her crosshairs, but it turns out that she couldn't shoot straight and instead shot her own foot. Yeah, I know Democrats have been attacking the Trump administration for having contact with the Russian ambassador, but here's a photo from President Trump's joint session speech. The ambassador from Russia is sitting with Democrats. Karl, what's going on here? Well, that's traditionally the ambassadors sit near the front of the audience, so some of them end up on the Republican side, some end up on the Democratic side. I can remember being close to a couple of ambassadors from countries that weren't exactly friends of the United States when I attended the State of the Union speeches. Yeah, but the point is, I mean, this ambassador gets around. I mean, you know, he gets around. Yeah. Look, he's one of the most political people in Washington. You may have read the report in the newspaper today. Before President Obama's ambassador went to Russia, McFaul, so a very capable guy. What happened? The Russian ambassador hosted a dinner party, an extravagant dinner party for the soon-to-be American ambassador to Russia, with the hierarchy of the Democratic President Obama's foreign policy team. So, look, that's the job of an ambassador, to try and get as much intelligence as he can by developing these relationships. Yeah. And the idea that Claire McCaskill and other Democrats haven't met with him is just ridiculous. Right, of course they have. It's unclear why Jeff Sessions didn't admit in testimony that, yeah, he did, in fact, speak with Russian officials in July and September. But missing here in this Democrat accusation, Karl, is that July event was a national security luncheon at the GOP convention in Cleveland. This July event where Sessions, the U.S. Attorney General, talked to the ambassador. 100 people were there, including numerous congressmen and 80 ambassadors, Karl. Right. Well, look, I'm sure, having been at a number of Republican national conventions and been to similar lunches, I bet the ambassador from Russia had just a few seconds to make an impression upon Jeff Sessions. Yeah. The more problematic visit is when he goes to see Sessions in a Senate office later on. But look, I went back and read the question, sort of a confusing question by Al Franken, in which he says, if you had knowledge that the people in the Trump campaign, surrogates for Trump, met with Russian during the campaign, what would you do? And look, at worst, it is an inartful answer. It is clear that the context is discussing the campaign with the Russians. And the other question, the one that was written to him by Senator Leahy, is explicit. It says, did you have any meetings with Russian officials about the campaign? So Sessions did the right thing by recusing himself. I'm not surprised he did. Yeah. I expected him to do it all along. You know, David Perdue said, I think something like 30 Democrats have met with Russia over the years, in recent years, over the Iran deal. Karl, final word. Right. Well, look, this is just politics. Yeah. They're smearing a good man in an attempt to ruin his reputation and to throw some mud on the president. But it's a sad day when we have Claire McCaskill serving as the paragon of truth, virtue, and honesty in the Democratic Party. Karl Rove, thank you so much for your time. Please come back soon. We love having you on. You bet.